podcasting ke le dumedisa ke le hwahla ka letsole mofuthu ya le dumedisang ke Kent wa Sethabela ke le kwano ka mona ka KSD ke Kennedy tentse matla jwalo tsa sebetsi mmoho e tumeleng khorowang ngwana nkgono o ha hantle jwale bonkgono ba santshaneng ba moetsa dintho tsa teng bana beso ho ga kgono go tlela mosebetsi mme a nkopa a re wa karima a ko matheka tsona bashimane o ko fe momamedi le mo builapeng mono hore go etsahala eng kwano ka dipolotiking ka mona mona wena tsatsing la ka jeno mo builapeng metsotsong ena e mobedi ka morahora ya botshelela o ka nka monyetla ko nana wa ba romella wa ba jwetsa hore se unjalo Kent o sa le teng diakhala re tlo kena ditabeng tsa rona tsatsing la ka jeno mme re ke re bone hore na eng ke eng re ke etse tjena wena mo builapeng mono ke lokisetsa ho kena tabeng tsa ka tsatsing la ka jeno ke tla be ke na le majoro wa rona ka kwano ka Sethabela Mmelerato the one and only Ntombo Bolt Ntombo Marona ke maschaba ona bana ba eso ka bogutshwane ha o sa motsebe enwa ke ena mme a o ka metseng ka kwano ka districting ya rona ya Sethabela re tlotla re relaxa man re tloka re kena ditabeng re gone ho utlwa le hore mohlolomong dintho tse teng tse le hore di a etsahala tse ding tsa tsona mohlomong o tla nromella dipotso tse pedi tse tharo ka mono mme wa tseba jwalo ka mehla ke tholala nomoro ntsane tsa 083 591 8214 083 591 8214 wa hona je fela o kana re fela ao Kent o lekenyana hore ao batho ba modimo effort ka o go fela Kent o leke se aram ka bona ka TikTok ba jwetsa hore KSD e live ka mana ka Facebook ba jwetsa TikTok ka mana ka Facebook hore KSD e live le ka mane ka YouTube o kana re fela KSD e live bana beso le Kent Sethabela lena o live ka mono kana tapa screen wa like ka TikTok wa commenta mono ke tla ke bala di comment tsa ho metsotso jwale e mene ka moragora ena ya botshelela tsatsi ke lona la boraro re bone bonneteng ba holo le bo marona re bone ba ile kerekeng bonneteng le re beheng bana beso hle re bone wena mo builapeng mono dintho tse etsahalang ko re qhaqa hanyane pele ke kena ditabeng tsa ka wa tseba mehlana malanga ko bea sehlotlolong ka tse etsahalang ho le haufi mo KSD e fitlang teng mme e nngwe ya taba e re boneng ka sehlohlo ena e top kamane ka Eldos May ma second how right how monate ha hona nice ka mo nice ya shota ibile go sane ke tla bona re ke bona ke tla bua le mhlophisi nke ke hate mabala ka mane ka Eldos ho thoba fitlhile the last line ya defense country ho thwa e fitlhile jwalo ka mo president la bua hore o tla ka deploy mono bana ba South African National Defence Force ba ke ba thuse seponesa sa rona haholo ka taba tsena tsa gangster related le dipolao le ditshetefatse tsena tse ka harametse haholo le dibetsa tsena tse bolayang batho haholo ebile pleke tseno ke tsona di hotspot tsa di e-hailing hijacking mo ile hore ba kganne ba se ba tshaba lo kena ho yo dropa batho jwale itse ha ke re ke ba sheba ke bone ho le brown May masa kenners vares jele viet di khutesa le khabir hele jele te khala se le ba tshujwa hele jele khase di army khankom and the army had khankom no vase jele no ekfra nata fra but ekfra wat kata no any elders all the elders flats ek het gesien daarson die goed is gebeur tsebe ke Afrikaans eno guys ana gona sa le ba go ruta yona ka Sesotho a tseba thotse ding a tseba re ke itholele nna ngwana Osmathidiso le update for romela melaetsa ha o fela ha bana beso le complimenteng yana fela 1 minute nyane ke tlo kena majoro le majoro a mono ke entse effort e ka kang hore ke be motletše ka jeno ai re ke bona melaetsa ka mono ka WhatsApp gore na taba di eme jwang bana beso ke a le amohela ke itse le ba jwetsa so gunjalo ka jeno le tsamaya le Kento Sethabela bana beso nna mosebetsi wa ka ko etsa mosebetsi ha ke le sendeng di voice note bomme hai le reng fela Kenti o one mono a re ketse tjena mohlophisi a ntshwarela ka mono ngwana mme o nhlophisetse ka mono le re fela hi Kenti, you are handsome re bala di voice note mono bana beso ba re dumela Kente holla se fela wena ha utlwahale re ketse ka ke ka online ka monana re ke hafole ka monana bana beso sefela seno askissing bana beso ka online ka mono askissing ba re hi it's Lerato from Kanana Ward 18 okay kgaitsedi ya ka ke atla mono ke atla au se Lerato ke atla re ke bone okay re ke bone ba senda I love you akarebo I love you ke itse handsome sembo I love you mo ilape mono lo wena mo mamedi wa ka re ke nke monyetla ke amohele mme wa rona Lerato Maloka ele majoro ka mane ka motseng wa Sedibeng kapa districting ya Sedibeng ka masipala mono bana beso ke a leboha mono ke a leboha Kholi ke a leboha bana beso ke a leboha marona
le
ka mama
ke a phela abuti Kenti ya bona mo boy o hlapile
ai
se batho ba KHD radio station ke re dumelang baahi ba vale ha imono ba ohle ba online be re tla berna le bona mantsibueng ha ka jeko ke a leboha abuti Kenti
marona ke le buile haholo mme Lerato mme wa rona a ko re fe hanyane batho ba tseba lebitso a le bona distance kwana a ko re letse mme Lerato kapa au se Lerato ke mang o tswa kae
au se Lerato ke moradi wa Maloka ke nyetse Hamkhize ke dula ka Malaka ka Heidelberg motseng wa Thanda ke bile majoro wa Sedibeng ka 2021 ke hlaya masipaleng wa Lesedi local municipality under the district ya Sedibeng ke bile masipaleng mono for dilemo tse ka bang 15 years 5 years ke sebile as the MNC ke le karabella ho tsa economic development and tourism tse 10 tse fetileng ke le sebile ke le executive mayor wa masipala wa Lesedi local municipality
tse monate ditaba marona a ko re fe hanyane leeto la hao being a mayor at a municipal level and then le re ne re shebele ka mane ka di camereng hore ba se ke ba re shine yes re one mangona a ko re fe hanyane marona hore leeto la hao being in politics and also serving in the municipal in the district the municipal in fact that's where you actually got your experience and to move to the district a ko re fe the journey mohlolomong hore ho bile jwang and o khonne jwang
first, it's about my involvement in politics and being active in the community. I'm a community activist. At my youth days, I was involved so much with issues about the youth clubs in the community. Also a peer councillor at that age, and later on when I was in high school, I got involved in the SRC Askolo when I was studying in Parktown College in Johannesburg. And later on, when I moved to Heidelberg, I was so much actively in the youth league politics. and then that also expand to the issue to be involved in at the level of branch. I work at a parliamentary constituency office, ANC, working with members of parliament. Constituency office is an office elong gore e tlisa ditshebeletso tsa those who are employed in parliament, so that batho ba kgona hape ba bone mosebetsi ANC e etsang in parliament, both legislature, in the province and in parliament.
Ke batho ba le ba di oversight visit ba tlang ba tlo monitor gore bonneteng the programs tse teng kapa whatever development tse bang teng within the municipal.
From the party ke issue ya gore na ankere batho ba kgethile these members parliament members parliament in the province. So parliamentary constituency they serve as their constituency. Or by interactor jwang leave this community that have voted them in. So in the parliamentary, I was coordinating their work to have access to communities. To sabato all challenges that are facing daily. It covered the issues of labor, it covered the issues of evictions, the issues of consumer rights, all those activities. How globally the public hearing, if government, parliament or legislature, but will pass the new bills, the new act, we coordinate communities. But go hona hore wana mantsua bona a utlwahale hore na really community ya valley whether ke bill ya parliament, but those comments ke tsona tse important. So I get sense and more in the ANC parliamentary constituency. I was get some mosebetsi for those members of the parliament. So in 2006 I was then elected as a councillor representing the youth component at that time, and I joined the Lesedi local municipality under the leadership of Medususu Mulisake. My soul rest in peace. Kibo mebelong hore e ya re holetse ka tlasa a bona re bona ba tsamaisa tselena e jwang ya women in leadership, in council, in politics, whatever we have. So ke sebedisa ka tlasa Medususu Mulisake ke le MMC ya economic development and tourism in the city in 2006, then 2010, then here 2010 to 11 I was then elected as executive mayor of that municipality. Yes, it was not an easy journey. It came with its own challenges. If we can recall, in 2011-2012 there was a serious uproar in the city about who must be the mayor and all that. But seo silampa sampa chiseo azange ke bona ile ntwe leng gore it should discourage me coming as young at that time as a mayor, because yes, there will always be those challenges. We don't want this one, we don't want community and all that. But what was saying sabachise on some parliament like you remember I guess will be majority I was still a candidate for me was to say, if I've got that chance, let me prove that what I'm capable of. I'm here because to serve the community, not because of my own interest and the love that I have for the community. As I tell you that I started being a community activist at a very early age. So that for me, that uproar or that Hoyland says like in 2012, the way the situation was so tense, it was said because the infrastructure that the ANC has put in that municipality, it was the infrastructure. It was saying as Mokhatlo ANC, we care about our people, your clinics, your community halls, municipal facilities, and which is what's on, not these ones. It's a clinic apartheid. We'll only one coming to hall. Elenia, but these ones in Ghana, in that time there was nothing. Communities are on a struggle. If an about the services, they had to go to town to be serviced. Simple issues, you have to take a taxi, they have bad travel like that. But in fast forward, that was the things that when I came in the first year, I said that we're committed, we need to fix this thing, but also educate our communities. I'm happy in the valley, in particular, they said there are more community radio stations that are supported by government to make sure that we educate batho ba bo rona ka democracy. And democracy, and then Nakonzela supported community will come together, Barutu Dikereke will come together, Relwanse Muso or Hatello Pay. When I look at understand how democracy is so I think from government there's still that gap. It's something say or as community in democracy, our rights, and how do we then take this thing forward as community, loving each other as the community, as society, so that we become better as communities.
Yeah, tawatse monate tseno ke utlwa hantle marona le to lena e file ala ba bonolo but le bile le dithuto le di-challenges but at the end of the day there you are, you rise kore no maganjani wa qetelletse o le boemong bo leng ho bona.
Yes, and I didn't remember 2021 Mebusaki civil disagreement kana kwa COVID create a vacuum in the district, and then the ANC then deployed me to come and lead the Sethabela district municipality. That's how I came in Sethabela. And after elections, start 2021 November, I was then again re-elected to continue to close that gap in the district, and understanding that the district municipalities, role here, the district municipalities, sometimes it gets not some batubaruna bas understand and like district is handling, you know. Under local government, the category is a municipality.
Okay.
Which is your metros in the category A. We have your district, which is category C, and we have your local, which is category B.
Okay.
So the setup here Gauteng, we operate the metro, which is Tshwane, Johannesburg, and Ekurhuleni, and we have the two districts, which is West Rand and Sethabela, which is our category C. And under category C, you'd have your local. So where the district is, there will always be a local municipalities. So under Sethabela as Kichuloro Natinali, Maspala Bavararo, Maspala Moholo, Iling Emfuleni, Limit Valley, Lily City. So Rolia district in that is to then coordinate the three municipalities. Katabaya planning. When we plan from our IDP, we plan as a district. As much as there will be activities in Emfuleni, in Lesedi, in Midval. But from a district perspective, we're planning as a region. That's why every time in our those are the a coordination role that the district must play in addressing the issues that the district in that municipality. We don't just coordinate, we coordinate and plan and execute together with our municipalities based on the frameworks they do. And Eba unique in the sense that because in Gauteng, the functions the service delivery because of our wall-to-wall municipalities. Legislature ya rona ile ya bona go le bohlokwa rona man di function tse ha di etsiwe ke bo masipala, like the bulk supply ya metsi, electricity infrastructure. How sheba like the provinces outswana le bo KZN. The district are the most powerful municipality because they give support to their locals in for bulk supply, and that within the constitution and within the structures that are there, that is a function of the district. But because of the wall-to-wall, how the setup the function is so in the main, the focus of the district municipality when it comes to service delivery, just except fella from only on planning, from planning, what's our planning, responsible for the issues that transport. Your bus, your taxi rank, ke function ya rona. The taxi rank is a Karabo Valley, Lebe Emfuleni, ke function ya the district.
In the department dating.
Yes. Yeah, MMC Mdwanwe, Kaurna Mono, and then the airport, the Fronachan airport falls under us. Yeah, the city, refile that function or city run on agency basis. And there's also in terms of the new developments and that the Val SZ, there'll be a new airport along the N1. Maybe what is this Val SZ area? So what has been a role here as a district? I must say it's one program that gave me pride. Really, ANC were able to say the Valley SZ, it's one say exit. And the Valley SZ, it's not only Katabaya, it's a multi-sector, multi-sites. When you say multi-sites, you'll have a site in Heidelberg, we'll have a site in Midval, we'll have a site in Mfuleni. Under the Valley SZ. And a multi-sector, agriculture, energy, all this investment in different sectors. So as a district representing local government, we're able to facilitate that to date we can be proudly saying that, because we have seen that as a vehicle recreate economy, for batho ba rona ba ka hare ho Valley. And ha re ka hare ho Valley re ntse re kenyeletsa di-municipality tsena tse pedi. And it started programming I think more than 6 years, but at least we'll see the benefits ya yona hona jwanong. As re bua in the Heidelberg SZ, the MEs, because we work with national and the provincial government, so it's that 3 spheres of government or this Val SZ it's a bit. Bomaspala contribution here on we have availed land for this development to happen in our area. So MEC Mailejalo under economic development as the province, it's about 200 million just to put an infrastructure in the Heidelberg SZ. And already the site has been handed over to a private person who have been appointed to put in underground and upper infrastructure. As we speak, yes, the site is actively happening, and then but happens and the focus is on yes, things will cut. They're still at the process about the EIA, Mid Valley, but there are projects on the pipeline. Will continue, because without that Valley SZ, because we can focus that opportunities young people in the region, and we're just not working alone as government. Our varsities around for skills development is prepare our young people so that the opportunities under this Valley SZ, our people are able to benefit from those, so that we prepare them earlier. SMMEs, we have a continuously stakeholder engagement just to give feedback, and then they follow up on the process as well. We are just awaiting. We started, the minister has will be engaging on public participation within 30 days. And now a minister will then sign off after the 30th area. They have designated that Valley SZ, so that investors that are there, the SZ is about what incentives businesses will come if but investor in our area and all that. So in the main, the district will come centrally in coordinating issues like economic issues in the region through our planning, which is the IDP and our DDM. And we're striving all these things through the framework HR government, which is a district development model, where all of us, we come together, we share the resources, even with the private sector, to say that how can they advise, how can they unleash some of these issues as an economy.
In your journey, I want Limocha Atules, the roles and responsibilities at the district, the municipal, or Tatina Gajeno, I tutor home. Every year, there is a budget speech. And every year, according to the perception that the public has, or according to what is shared to the public, is that the budget speech iatla is send chelete from national to province, and then from province to the district and metros, the municipal. So I want to know, Hori, the reality of the situation. Hori, when they share the budget speech, tšhelete tse di a fitlha na masepaleng gore di etse ditshebetso tse e le gore mohlomong di tshwantsho di etse.
Di a fihla ntate, because tjhelete kaofela e re bomasepala ba e tholang e tswa go palamente e kgolo ya South Africa. So minister ha bolela o tlo tjho gore na go local government, which is a sphere of government, re tlo ba fa tjhelete e kae. Currently, what you are getting as a local government from the national fiscus is about 9%. From that money, local government only getting that 9%.
Out of the whole batch.
Out of the whole batch. And it like a leisure. But for MIC, and all that, it has all from equitable share, then during our budget, at the level of district, because district is actually the functions that are on this is the basic services. The grant is a district to like in a equitable share.
Okay.
And then that equitable share comes by the salaries, other services students, and one of our biggest challenges is SCDB, because that equitable share 70% of it, the salaries. It's one matter that it's at our heart to say that it cannot be right. And then how do we then reduce that to, it's a very hard decision. Most of the time, as much as but it's one matter if we are able to resolve that, it can easily financially municipalities are be sustainable. And who the local municipalities are they do receive the grant grant somebody maintain the bridges, energy saving, electricity, parliament again. But seriously discouraging because unemployment in the country, it's rife.
Definitely.
We're not unique out of that. And but to barona habe recently to economy is but economic is but our spontaneous as government, how quick do we make our plans be achievable, but because in total happen to the protest. If government is slow to make things, but when to say about feeling impact, because when you put out what the economy is how does it relate to me? The opportunities. So I think the pace as government rates that's what we need to check up, and then the heads on the first balance the gap in but what Parliament also realized that because most of our people are not working, they cannot even pay for the services. That's one thing, the increase revenue must buy. That is why today we are talking about the new reform, the white paper on local government. Because by that time, government thought bomasipala re tla khona go phela ha re rekisa electricity, ha re rekisa metsi, batho ba patala, will have a revenue that will still insert bomasipala pele. That is why se re stola mo government to nationally that. So these new reforms, how best as parliament we can support a local government, municipalities, because the services the etsahala more batho badula anywhere the etsala more batho badula. Yes, we are now heading to we are in the local government elections now. Yes, the bill is there, but we are saying these are the commitments that we're also saying it will give hope to our people, so that and it's a reality. We cannot force batho ba bona re ba patela ditshebeletso if e le gore they cannot afford. And le ba kgonang ba itshireletsa ka banana ba le rong ha ba kgone ba le really government e tshwanetse e ba assist gore ba thole those basic services, electricity, metsi, refuse removal. Those are the basic services e leng gore no maganjani money we cannot play. It's a service that we must give to our communities in this area.
For now, Mayor Harry Sheba, the reality are the other situation elore ke the conditions taba to mo badulanteng whereby the allegation kapa defect dia bontsha when you drive around Sidibeng, when you drive around Emfuleni, wa bona hore ho thata even go town tsela town ha e tshwana le ya locationing. I mean, since well every year the IDP they are doula and same problems are raised to say and then now even ntho tsena tse tlang di fitlhela mathateng ana. With that, Luana, as a mayor, are you having challenges? Are you having challenges tsa mohlolomong setjhaba se sa dlale karolo ya sona or mohlomong ke situation with the way linkating? I want to know maybe today, according to your assessment as a leader, Norman, ha ke etsa introspection ka hara masipala ko etelang pele ke bona mona le man dintho di tse hantle. I mean, according to mohlomong wena kapa is it on your attention or tulo ele e jwang Vrenaging Vanderbijl Heidelberg or ke tlolla hanyane ntse le decent Meaton is still inteli decent, especially citing Lena Modula Melata ena aba mala kapa batho be lo re ba gona ka bophelo hanyane. From your side, are you aware of those things?
But ke tshwanetse ke shomane ke re situation se re se bonang ka re masipala wa rona wa Emfuleni just fela ka bohlweki ha se acceptable, just fela bohlweki go tla haka the roads ha se a di maemo e leng gore di tshwanetse di be go tsona. Bohlweki ha se maemo e leng gore go tshwanetse go tsona. Yes, the community in a role to play, unless le rona re fana ka re etsa sure hore if re re di gore re di tota habedi hangwe bekeng, if we stick to that with that commitment re ke se bone batho ba lahlela everywhere. So re sebedisana le masipala wa Emfuleni le government ya Gauteng ke priority that e leng hore hona yanong e seng le hona yanong fela re leng community ha re qale mo pele before re tlo bua tse ngata bohlweki fela ka haro masipala wa rona Emfuleni le rona mo masipala wa rona o dutseng teng which is for Vrenaging ke ntho e bohlokwa hore e leng hore we are working on it, and then the Gauteng government is going to assist us with a sure hore ma question a rona a hlokile. Ke buletse ka taba tsa dikoloi tse phutha matlakala ene hape if re sa phuthi matlakala re le masipala batho ba rona ba tlo lahlela kae? They will be irresponsible ba lahle everywhere. But we are saying but if le rona re pusha rona no re dikoloi di teng every Wednesday koloi ya tla ya thota why ba le lebaka la rona o tshwantse o lahlele everywhere. Re tla re pusha jalo but also re educate the communities. And se seng hape se re dumelane ka sona ke hore na rona le municipal court ko Emfuleni e tshwanetseng hore na batho ba ileng hore ba etsa dintho tse ka ntle ho molao they should be receive punishment tsa bona mo mara se re itukisitse re itse matsatsi a o thota gore ke ana batho ba tshwanetse they must stick to that ba etse re lokise le di-landfill tsa rona go tsebana hore na toti ha ile kana na ila hlalo ka go etsalang. It goes again ke re le ka taba ya education ka clean environment ke di program tse leng gore na already we have started ka tsona in educating our communities ka clean environment, but also the issues that discipline go tsona. Re na le program enana e mfuleni e re se ba entseng le Renwater. Or Renwater e hlile as a partner, a private partner, because balance sheet ya bona e eme hantle, because ke issues tsa finance. The infrastructure ya fa labor fit ke infrastructure ya gae e seng e kgathetse. Re tla nne re bue rona re hai di pump station di lokile mara if abuti Kent nna ke ntse ke tswa ke le moahi ke bona ntse ke na le sewa ha ke bone tsena kaofela tse le government o re tshwanetse re phesiwa this, but mokgatlo wa ANC mokgatlo re beileng mola re etsa ka bojotlhe ba rona. That is why hona jona government intervene ya rona. Let's put the right people to make sure that we implement se tshwantseng re di etse and take interest ya community tsa rona on issues tsa service delivery. Ke re basic services ha hona masepala o tshwantseng go hlole ka ho provide those services. E le metsi, e le motlakase, le puta re gore and le batho ba ileng hore ba kgona ho patala ditshebeletso ha ba patale ditshebeletso, so that re kgona ho cushina bana ba ileng hore ha ba kgone ho patala ditshebeletso tsa masepala, so that masepala o kgone ho ntshetsa pele, re kgone to have more cars tse tshwantseng di clean, re kgone ho hira le batho ba ileng hore ba accommodate mesebetsing di masepaleng kaofela wa tseba re na le di municipal managers, those who manage batho ba tshwantseng ba sebetse. And it's important that managers must do their work with a sure hore batho ba sebetsa ka masepala ba etsa mosebetsi wa bona. And ke re ba sebetsa mo rona le batho ba kantle ba rena hao rona re ka kgona ho etsa mosebetsi mo batho ba masepala ba sebetse. So se re etsang as the politician every time is to make sure that we hold these accounting officers accountable for these officials that they're supposed to do their work, but ba sa etse mosebetsi wa bona. Batho ba tle mosebetsing ba sa tle mosebetsing ba gole ke tšhelete le yone it goes to waste. Ke poho and high hantle re sentse re boletse gore batho ba bangata ba sebetse but the opportunities tse jalo ha ba kgone ho di fumana.
Have you ever got the complaint maybe from one of the, let's say, municipal manager complaining to say, Mayor, you have given us the resource, and with this resource you were expecting a difference within our community, but I'm having these people, I'm having this list, I'm having this group of people who are being paid and doing nothing.
Responsibility administration. Municipal manager can run from level run at the level of council. Only senior managers. From director level downwards, responsibility accounting officer. With the managers, they must do their work to make sure that how do you pay somebody as a miracle? So it's the responsibility accounting officer to make sure that and managers so that they manage those people. Ronan can take a strategy, which is our IDP. This is how we want to go implementing this IDP, and then we play oversight to that IDP that the community year 22 by itself look at this and that. Within our budget, within this, if we are able to do it, hurry committee and do that. If that is not happening, these officials must be held accountable. So that hurry a community and click into the community, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they have not performed, but also tell you that you would want to assist so that they give delivery to our communities.
Mayor, when I get anyway oversight visit, when I personally as the mayor to say no, Orange gets oversight and on this critical issue.
Yeah, Rona as a district, the 5th January.
Okay.
When we are opening municipality. But what are the holidays is the first day back here in Sebeti. Just to get a sense of that was the oversight that we did just to check staff of Sarona have they responded and all that, and it was not all good. It was not all good.
It was not good.
And the West of the Outer senior managers are not there.
Jesus.
You know,
Holy Ghost fire.
the holidays, managers, but staff was said yesterday, staff bisa, staff is so often these are the things that we do as oversight, recheck, every month I get a report section 71. It must talk to the outputs of number to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mea ke rata mona hobane tjhelete ena bona mantente ba gola ho tjhesa ho bata. And then I want to know ska lona le fitlile on that oversight la thola ho se hantle, what measures did you take ho dila ka discipline bana ba tswileng tseleng?
And can I say that Rona, Shoya Rona ki the senior manager of the accounting office. We are clear. Everybody who was not at work by this time, because I grew on a little internal control over now, was saying about fish like 7:30, 7:45, 8. 20 as a manager, or what's in my staff, Baba 3, basically, Baba, municipal manager. And had you fella said you pay office, about those who were absent at work, they're not supposed to be paid because. You understand? So, but these are some of the challenges we must accountability. Yeah, the senior managers for they must account on everything because look now we're accountable to the community. As now I'm here, you're asking me, where's I in? How do we deal with those issues? You know, so from political link, how do we oversight? We put the standard for accountability for things to happen. Of which it's not easy, but we are getting there. We'll never get tired to make sure that our officials do what they're supposed to do. If they can't do the other, let them people who are determined that they can do the work, so that Lorona as politicians we shine out there. What the mandate that communities have given us. Issue district municipality. This is one of the education refer to our communities. The importance of voting the district municipalities. Because Batuban and I, the district, we are not voting for them. Because when you go to local government elections, we vote for the ward councillor, community. The PR
councillors.
Yeah, PR councillors, it's a locally PR councillors at district. Because a district municipality, if for 40%, yeah, my councillor as one with the local municipality, the 60% is a belong but directly elected in that district. So we then form a district municipality. So that's how it is important that because during the election, the district gets to be voted in through the PR list.
And then, Mayor Hari Atelapili, are you happy with the state of the district and the municipal take a class or district down?
At the level of the district, there's a bit of instability, but we take a note of that. Remember, in both I think Mfuleni and district and part of the city were governed under coalition. So in the district it's even worse because most coalition partners are more Mfuleni, and Mfuleni is a bit stable in the district. There are those challenges because we are in a coalition government, and today we are okay, tomorrow we are not okay. Those are the issues those are the realities. It's a coalition government, but that on its own, it doesn't make us not to meet our application as a district municipality. We still being able to do our responsibility where we're supposed to give services, like one being that we're running the licensing centers on behalf of province in Mfuleni, in Midval, in Foronahe. We have 4 licensing centers in the district. It's one service that communities must get. So we are still being able, though we have our own challenges in making sure that we stabilize our municipalities. Yes, illicit, as I said, it's a coalition, but it's not that it's only one party that's in that coalition. Midval, there are no coalition, it's purely run by the DA in the district.
083 591 8214 083 591 8214 ke na le Mmele-Rato Maloka ka kwano e leng majoro wa rona ka mane ka district ya Sethabela tsa hlalosa ditaba mme he ntse re tla step by step mo bui lapeng mono ntse re kena di issue tse le hore mohlolo mo ha le utlwisisi lapeng mono re ke re utlwisise the responsibilities, roles le di functions tsa bona jwalo ka district hore qetellong ya ditaba ho be le phethoho kapa re utlwe hore na ho tla tshwana fela. Mayor, kopa botsa, is the intervention because of local election kapa the intervention ebanting from the national treasury haisale e kgona ho ba teng as long as Lisa the request?
In incident that work, intervention with particularly that intervention resulted in issue Renota Ikilo on board.
That's the SPV.
The special purpose vehicle, the VAL, the new company, so it will be an entity it will serve under influence to who tsamaisa ditshebeletso tsena so we say hare feng a chance re boneng gore na where it's going to take us. And Renota it's a reputable entity in government. In Gauteng, in Gauteng, all municipalities the service ke Renota ka taba tsa metsi and ke tshilo gore na because municipality ha tšhelete ha yo e leng gore if re tshwanetse go fixwe the whole underground infrastructure ya fall. We can fully cannot afford that. Kama baka ke sa kwa bolile mfatse ka taba tsa ditšhelete ba se what community shelter out of the functions of community. We are receiving from national government, it's not sufficient enough for this infrastructure.
Mayor, taba ena ke utlwa hantle bile ke utlwisisa obane bonneteng ana le aware ka setjhaba se ka kwano le ho hola wa tulo masipaleng wa lona ale aware, like we know that, let's say for example the system electricity sale ele teng ka hare ho motse ke ane ya mmuso wana konta lona le santsane le protester for freedom. And then now ke bua fela ka di le motena tse tshiletseng hlomong tse re fitileng ho tsona re bone ho nona le registered informal settlement tse ile hore ke tsa pele bo Joko T bo Tshepiso kwana bo Soul City bo Zone 24 zone jwalo. Those were registered informal settlement, and then eventually batho ha ba occupied black ba kena number jwale e se hola ana ntweno e affectile hakakang the development tsono tshwantse di ba teng for service batho bana be sale ele badudi ba enfole ba Sedibeng.
Ke boletse pele ntate hore na issue ya infrastructure is a challenge. E ka ba ka electricity, e ka ba ka metsi, e ka ba ka sewer. Really district le enfuleng re aware ka that challenge. That is why the planets are rona gore where do we start? And batho aba ha re tlo dula le hore population ya Sedibeng ha re haufi fela le Gauteng re haufi le Sosol, everybody ba dula me ba batlang go dula teng. So dintho tseo tse jwalo ke tsone tse etsang gore na if also to manage issues informal settlement of people that coming into our area. How do we manage, but particularly by informal settlement? Because by informal settlement by Fisher today, after 2 days, they want to be Badimanda Metsi, Badimanda this, Badimanda that. So in controlling issue at informal settlement, I would know that the Mfuleni municipality, the MMC are on our housing at the district. They are working very closely MMC Yamatlu or province, as this is a function province Yamatlu. But what municipality needs to do is how do we control these issues at informal settlement? There's a dedicated program in Gauteng government to manage issues at informal settlement, because if they affect Sidibeng alone, Sidibeng, they also contribute even into the province. That's why the issue of water in Gauteng is a crisis, because the water that has to come in the province, it's a particular population, and most of that water to waste. Because the number for Val, metsi e tshwantseng rainwater a ntshetse ho tla mo, metsi a mangata tshwantseng a tla mo, neng a fella hore the leaks, high city leaks, how also we are using water in our space. And the issues are informal settlement between Mfuleni and province. I think as we go on, at some point, I think it's really important that you can invite MMC wa Mfuleni, le Sidibeng Kopo Majoro, ka Mfuleni, le MMC wa Sidibeng, to say exactly around issues of informal settlement. Let's not have more informal settlement, because they also contribute to the services. But the planning of the whole area, it tells us that there's still a lot to do in upgrading the infrastructure, whether electricity, whether water. These are the infrastructure that we have new developments. Some of the it's about alternative energy. How do we then direct issues in Zahona? The Tabo project must still continue without any disturbances, so that
Mea taba ke nana hape e le hore ne ke batla re fete ho yona mo e le hore ka the program tsena tsentse. I mean, we are having, I want to know the impact e le hore this so-called malls, shopping complex, are they contributing to the local economy?
They are, in a sense that I think when these malls comes, the role of the SMMEs in participating in that. Do we see are they beneficial? Pakistani spaza shop, because as South African spaza shop, how is it going to benefit this mall? Are they taking my client, or will I still be sustainable? Because so now in the main on issues are unemployment, it gets to higher but within the area, bring also other services close to the community. If you wanna shop right or working distance, if you wanna pep at a working distance, if you wanna pick and pay, but they can still get their grants within. They don't have to get taxi again to go. But these are the amenities. They must be close to our communities. But I think one exercise that we need to really look at it is to what extent from SMME, the SMMEs are who are in that space. How are they getting into that space? It's about rents and cents. And remember, this one to get a space, it's quite expensive to get space in that. But I think these are the issues when this mall comes through different stakeholders. We must be able to get that appetite on. Are they really supporting in that side? Those who are having those business in the township to participate in the issues that
You know, the reason I'm asking, Mayor, is because you go to this shopping complex, Simona, Liting, you go to Everton Mall, you go to Cambridge, Kamani, you go to Everton Plaza, Tabong Mall. Kuri, those people, they fail to assist the local municipal ka tsela ya di-client tsa bona tse tlang tse tlo reka ditsela tsa mo di bodile kaofela ha tsona, and e se le dilemo, and these people are generating money from our communities, provided that they are providing services. But the basic things they lo re ke di-challenge to the municipal, and lo ho bona di aba affecta as batho be lo re ba within the community, and ba benefita, and the community are benefita. But now the basics tsena tse leng challenge between masipala le community. I mean, le leka la ke la proposal jwalo ka masipala re batho ba modimo rona ga zama mara masipala government e re fa tšhelete e nyane a ke letseng gore di-strateng tse tsa lona tse mo batho ba lona ba kenang le ke di bonagale le iketsetsa. I mean, le ja tšhelete ke senogonogo se jwang molo jwa tšhelete papo. Hey,
le
makhanselara ba mono o tla utlwa ntata go manager molo o jwetsa o buile le councilor na. I mean, I want to know just as a municipal the reason frenaging bile no le boa renke ena ke batla o palama taxi me renkeng ena entšha at least ke ona ntho ke bonang fela gore gona tjena e etsagetse ka mora nako e telele. It was not easy, and now frenageng o hopole ke CBD bona bo sware ba no ska hlola gore mapakistani me o mpo go bo sware gobane se ba nyetse bana ba bo rona bana le bana ba bo ke bo sware ba me ke bo sware ba bo sware ba se ba sentse le question e mona phela go bole gore ba go bala kae ba tlile mo ba sena di RDP ene jwale o tlo mo ba rentileng bana le go ba letsa ka matlong jwale ba go ba letse gaitse di tsa rona ska di sa sebetse di qetella di re di ba rata di sa ba rate o botla bo Abdul Mokwena mo, and bo Abdul Mokwena o tla lebitso ke Abdul seneme ke Mokwena, and ha o msheba le nna ke la ka bana le bothathanyana le immigration ka baka la meriri ya ka metle. So ntho tsena eske tla pointa ka kena ke hore at the end of the day ba etsa eng ho speed up tse ding tsa dintho. I mean, bona ke batla ho ya mona ke hlula ho kena ka koloi gating ya mall, and mall ena etsa tšhelete masipala contribution a lona mohlomong o kopa o advisor o etsa mo ntho tso di lekiso. It's something like I consider kapa mohlomong connect e hlahang ka lehlakore le leng.
No, I think abuti Kate o batla re ke re tle mona na le majoro wa because part of the CSI ya di mall tsena ke ntho tse jwalo tse leng hore ha re negotiate hore na ho tle di development tse tsena ka rama question ya bona bona ba re tlisetsa kae ba etsetsa community because community is putting their money there ba reka mo so king in return e leng ba ka support masipala ka yona hore okay fine re ka commit rona he re tsela tsena like just to do with the ditsela
tsena basic nyana mana o sa
ga mo re lwena ha ya mono ona le pride ya gore ai wa bona. I mean ke dintho tse leng gore from government ke dintho tse ka negotiatewang before the development did first thing what's bona okay nna le atla lefatsheng la ka la le reka kopo masipala wa le abela community ya ka tlo benefita jwang e tlo benefit jwang community ya ka. So ke dintho tse leng hore ha se hore government ha se ntho tse leng hore ka di a hloleha hona di ka negotiate. So ke tla rata ka tsatsi le leng ke re tle le majoro wa Emfuleni le rona re kgona le tlo kgona ho bona hantle hore na tse ding tsa dintho re di tsamaisa jwang dipotso tse direct le di local tsa rona le tse leng hore la se dibe regarding o buile taba ya taxi rank ya Frenageng taxi rank for so many years.
Yo.
Ke rata ho leboha Gauteng government le MEC wa rona wa transport mme ke di bone diale le premier Banyaza Lesufi hore ho ska etsuwa fela for the sake of rentse taxi rank. That is service delivery at its best. But what we also want to encourage batho ba rona, let's take pride with the facilities tsa rona. Ska re go taxi rank o tsamaya o lahlela fela o kena taxi ya mang o tsamaya o lahlela fela. Ke dipuisano tse leng hore as government le the taxi association re tse ha re hlokomelang facility ena ya rona. Ha re hlokomele e tlo bula re tla re lo palama taxi re kene ka mona re kene ka mona re bone hore na ya ke bohlokwa go le ntate wa ka.
Mo wa ka re le KHD ntho important e re batlang le rona ho ba jwalo ka media house ko ba transparent le hore at the end of the day re bone re rutile setjhaba sa rona reality le diphetho tse teng ha di le teng re ka se dule re le criticizer every day phela mama every day re thola di complaints every day and the problem dilemo tsena tse sa le re bua sa le ile di problem o so ko ba le solution motho a raise a problem a raise a banta le solution. May I want to put it into a task or ke deploy ke KSD and then we arrange a tour within our communities, within the CBDs, and our tour must be a basic reach out to our people to see the channel ko re kena potolong re le babedi ke televise or re potolong me o ikutlwa jwang me a surechi ke nana re le babedi and spend time with our communities to get the sense of their daily challenges, and from there re ke re tlo utlwa hape jwale bile tla bitsa le ba khotsi ba ka ba national le bona ba re joine the colleagues tsa ka tse ding in media offer overview, and before IDP idula maybe be going to that oversight to get the sense. And I also, as much as about the challenges, as you are saying, now I can attach to some of the things Taylor Esale Redibona di Tahala Chabatidin Navasa Diboni, your swimming pool road. Swimming pool road after intervention in La Tahala. Tilayana Sropesabenya in the Portolu, it's one of the road Taylor Rebone, but Nitin Lavana difference. The SPV program and camera or renota le I think Department of Public Works. Baru hinin repecha pipe na ya sewage. Inte itunya every week. But then let's come with something. It over a permanent solution or change maphelo a van. And le kamane ka frena genke no renke le hore tlo service batho, and then re ntse rena le body outstanding tsa kopano hospital di water ke tsa naisale wo se go qoqela di water tseno ha isale ka covid ho thwa batho ba tla kena ka mo di tla thusa boemo. And even today we are having the challenges still, or like your essential services like hospital, but ba complain a little today hore ha ba thole di water ka nako, batho ba dula casualty for matsatsi ba sa khone o admitwa, and it is sad because like it's essential service. And you have your mphatlalatsane holo ke tsane di fedile frenageng hona le mane mo ntatwa ka le mo ka ne ba ya teng nako e ba before ke fitla. So ntatwa ka le mo ka ne ba ya mo ntatwa ka isa ku ke nna ntate mo lo ka nang qoqela o thi mo ka na rata ya mo no tswa metsi che ka tropong a tsamaya hona le di fish
mo shopping center.
Yes, go Mark Park and what good old house and a fishy one and then tatwa ka na chama me wa ka. So ke tsona dintho tse le hore ke batla re ke re ipefela a commitment, even if maybe it's twice a week we will cover it and say Mayor Kunana or Monana, let's chava, let's prepare or Toya Rona Kina, lay the mayor and Abatli Hangata it's a public meeting. But I want us Harafiti strategy so and engage Lebatuba strategy so because I wouldn't want to open a can of worms. And I get a practical survey, Luena, KSD, and then after the practical survey or a fair outcome, and then the expectations sometimes so kafeta strategy only mayor wa phone fellow kopa greater etswe hosane hoseng ebele mona manager bring the greater ya apa bua ga mayor ga lona wa tseba ina petrol. I remember there was such challenges where ba di koloi tsa ntho
no na abiti Kent Kinto the Tanzania as public representative. As each occurrena, or one has also that directly influence. Bring the mayor influence. We come as a district, we go on the ground. We deal with these issues still in the reason, and I really want to be intact. We cannot forever. We must face our communities. These people have elected us. So as Kicho it's important. Regular mayor influence. Rachel na plan mona na ke this and what is king se re setsa hona jwanong
no
sa hona tshekise problem re bo re etsa eng tsetsa di plan tse jwang because ntho ya bohloko ya valley ke hore na le fixa ditse suwa ntse le ka then suwa e tla go to the same streets tse re ga di lokisa how will it pay to
pula ena ha iwane tsela e qhaqhile and you ask yourself is it or you know the questions that land to community, they say these people are creating these problems so that they can benefit.
The better poor job for government. You know, we are back to square one. As community government. What is it there saying right to
okay. Mayor, I know for sure next week the arrangement that was sharp shooting, the attention and effort, the Sethabela and then Limpara Clashak Video, and that can't. What I want now, what are Matamel? Ganga say, one supisa says a plastadia. More Otavona, how fika next week. What I will splinter need. Le mayor, le president have it. Ha Otare Capella Majoromark. So I want us after this Sharkville Tontoni, and then we arrange a schedule. We commit ourselves 2 days or even if it's 1 day a week, but in that day, at least for 5 to 6 hours, we visit I believe Kenya Monaco, Kenya Mona, the 10 Mona, Kira Mayor. Ratotoba, Otsba Katoto Poto, Ronald Pissing right. I get a pissing right. I can and you have your complaints. Car boss more farmer ability to la quality. Correct batla tena tse basic tena e go reng ha o ka re ke founela greater no ground ya bana ena e bapale, you know, and then after that re along the way to kopana le tsona tla di nota, and then we come back and give back to our followers. We have close to like 3 million viewers Kamanaka KSD, and of which the residents are valid on the day. But Nagli can do Sethabela ke hore ke qalento bekisia e hengi. I want Harry Qalanto the rekreta le nna o sane ke ha mea wa hopola re ditse man KSD ba re kenya ditse e khone batang re bua taba tse wa hopola la re me.
Yeah, no, this is Sarunasa district.
Yes.
Faced with what we should do as a district, and also what we can do with our locals.
Perfect. May I malaita how to the resident of Citibank in terms of encouraging them, indigent, how apply money for the services. A kabali impact 18 who revenue ya maspal.
Maybe but the whole thing ya the indigent. If re ka hara masepala infule renali ratsiba in a ward ke tsa mohlala Ward 42 re na le batho ba 3,000 go batho ba 3,000 1,002 ke batho ba e leng gore ke di-indigent. Indigent meaning o thola di-basic services tsa mahala, maybe metsinyana tseng le refuse room le ha o patala. Masepala ha le ha o plan ga tseba gore we're not going to get tšhelete go batho bao. It's about fela re check gore na okay can't ntse le indigent in the new financial year, yes status sa ha se so change within our budget ke batho be leng gore na tšhelete re tholang from a national e tshwantseng e thuse masepala ka dintho tsa di-indigent re kgona
ke yona subsidy ya teng.
But the challenge hape ke gore na if masepala a o fa 6 kiloliters ya metsi as an indigent person, stick to that, because the minute then you go beyond that, but those are the challenges within MEC Copter. They want to, but they are going to release a full central data to Kofela in Gauteng within the municipalities who fall under indigent. But what's on subsidized every month in each municipality, and then that to build a profile like opportunity. That's where we need to focus. These are the people they should get employment because of the conditions.
Wa tseba Meya ke batla ho tla monana se re tlo phethela jwale ngwaneso ke mantsibuya taba ke ena ya wa tseba simple okay comparison ne you go Kontong, you go Midval, for example. Straight last treno ke batho ba batsho. How fitla wa bona hore ke batho ba batsho le ka bodulu, right? Ka mona ka site la mmala la batho ba kgonang. You go to hall ya teng, simple hall, and you go to basebetsi ba holo ya teng, and you see hore ho hotle o ka jella le wena ka. And then that's why ke botsa another question of hantlantle, is it basebetsi or masepala or setšhaba wa bona? Because I understand if let's say for example holo ke ena kapa clinic ke ena le budget that day, right? In a maintenance budget, because I think before go tlo lokisa mpharati masepala o tshwantse o itukise bona nka settle officing tsa lona mane district officing ya hao me ke thola go sa kgothwa mara go thusa small farm. So I want to know hore hantlantle no mara o hlalositse but ke batla ena le yona re be listing ya rona ya oversight basebetsi hore mchini ko nana wa o kuta jwang mara hlati ke you go to library ya batone nka re ba loma batho mo you go to the hall tse ding wa bona mono hore ke mathata and there are private securities who are paid every month chelete ya masepala but the infrastructure there go re beside ho bola at least the neatness. So I like it's not the path. Skipper Saka is start with like a spit as long as it clean is a sense. I want to put it to a born horna Lona Ekenemon once. And then Kekopa what a mayor bonnet and Katlayet and
manager said that
the manager.
I live was a Pelarona.
I
Lifulea has one. I until the Shapa of Bonakanke. When I keep about the two say Lucas
Muy mono, I get to be Mantoma Bedi, home Monoka KSD, give Balemalaita, how Joalo, Keke Bono Horna, Mitutungin and Messano, local major, Hore Bonneting, I will pay no will of Lena, will pay no need. I say, believe that's what. Are from Pelengalo, Lamme, I can. romela molaetsa ka mono ka pele o kana romela voice note o 0835918214 kapa o kana romela molaetsa ka mono ka TikTok ke mang King a re King morwesi maile a gao re ditlatla tsa bona hle ao morwesi bathong o ile ao Jehova ai ai re ke bone but this is not the Kent I know maybe Hamonati today Kent is too much relaxed colleagues mona ke bua le district bana beso the reason today ankere mayor o qala go fitla lapeng KSD ankere producer jwale ke re nna commitment ya gona ka jeno ke gore before ho tlo lwana ho etswa before re ka re ralwana kapa ga supa diphoso re ke re iketsetse ka tsela different I told you man to say I want us to do something different as media houses we always talk and there's no action so I'm kindly putting it as a request to say we would like to have an oversight with you and then after having an oversight we come and review and then to the commitment after the oversight then zale mazetje ne mono mme wa ntseba ke le motho sexa kuta now I'm a bit charming yana ke azama
mo nna ke le motho ka nka ke tswana le
re ke bona boipatong ke tlo fana ka di details tsa ka ba ahi ke tlo fana ka di details tsa ka whereby le tlang address he ka di issues tse le hore di le affectile haholo and then re tlo prioritize tsena tse le hore di lokise ya hona tje yeah ndade kidi yes quick wins tseno una le ground e kwalile ka tla go tlo e bona o re fe history no ya ground no re brief me ya ground ke nana ankere dikolo di teng re bone dikolo di tlile
le
major assembly we will definitely arrange re tlo ba tsa dikoloi tseno di be busy ka pelenyana ha go di area tse re tsebang gore batho gale ba lla we have bonkgono ba dulang ka raswage e bile se bana le mafu a itseng le gore a ba amme ka baka la boemo bono we have batho le ona tse ba bang ba hlokahalletswe ha ba kgone ho service go tshwara ditshebeletso tsa lefu ka baka la di-condition Everton West ka pona ka o cancela legema jwale toti e se kena matlong e se kwetsitseng e tloa tsileng e kena matlong you go ha o kgone ho tsamaya extension 4 extension 5 extension 2 di development re bone di holo ke tsana re di bone di sebeletsa setjhaba holo ya teng ke an extension 11 le yona e fedile phaka bana ba jola mo ha ona di activities tsa hore di keep bana busy se ba teng ba inwella lini mo and e affecta le batswadi jwale le taba tsena tsa hore bana ba se ba itshwara hantle because of there are no programs tse mo in fact nna ke tla re tsamayeng re le rona le di mayor and then after rona le di mayor lona la bitsa cabinet ya lona la ba botla ke batla utlwa mo o jwetsa MMC or MMC when last did you go to Sebokeng what se le bua ka English sa lona ke mametse mara eno a ke ne recorder and then re bone he o tlamana le phetho tse teng what I know go hore bophelong o qala hanyane le nna me today a ke solwana ke so be ntwe ke santaneng ke empathizer both le the community le lona happy because ke batla ho bona phapang because dilo tsa batho ho bohloko ntho tsena di are ama ka botsa the producer today was conducting because of this to me you are exhausting yourself zama ho phomola because ntho tsena di out drain but how do I rest when kes na nkgono ana le 8 phone le re Kent ngwanaka ke robetse ka tlala kana dipidisi ka baka la hore ha ke so thole motlakase
as when take into hona ntho go hlokojwana ka hore na re le masipaleng o bile ka ntho tsa di managers you just have to do what you're supposed to do period if it's about you rose masipala go to tare gore tsa motho tare gore go nyele msebe baba before re tlo dila ka di-issue tsa society tse simple tse gore ga re kopane le community jaanong re thusana jwang ka di-issue tse o buileng ka tsona ntho tsa bonyape ntho tsa bomabollo ntho tsa ba eng why batho ba batsho re ithola re le seemong se re leng go sone
ya mme ya mantswe a o qetela mohlomong molaetsa ba ayo bana beso e bang le tshepo ga iso sa lento lena mohlomong kapa bana beso la hlela nthaolo bana la utlwa premier hae bana beso a la bona mfuleng ya shotse mpha badimo ka ka o fanya za bana ntate fanya
nna ntate ke rata fela go rona mokgatlo wa rona wa African National Congress now seriously taking issue ya gore makanselara ka hare go masepala ga ba etse ntho tse tshwantseng ba di etse the officials ga ba etse ntho tse tshwantseng ba di etse re ke se latlhele thaole ga re latlhela thaole kae there are good plans tse e leng gore mokgatlo wa ANC o di beile and hape le ntse re phutha di-good plans jalo go tsona le batho ba e leng gore they're not happy about doing implementing those good plans but let's not lose hope because of those who doesn't want ba sa batle go bona dintho tse ntle di etsagala ka gare makeishene a rona
ba le ma-EPWP le bona ba lla ka di-CV tsa bona go sa le di tsamaya ke di-issues tse ke tla di raisang the reason ke gore fela today we just wanted to have a conversation so that we understand gore mayor now ke tlhagise re Sedibeng re eme kae last time on o tla o itse role ya Sedibeng ke ena but with that we don't see impact ya teng mayor ga jwale re tsa jwang a le tšobane wa hopola no tlile go nna mona re bua hantle go le hantle so mewaka I would like to thank you so much ba mamedi ke kopa le beng le ntho tsa go ngola bana beso ke tlo le fa di number no pele ke tswa and then re gona go tekela dintho tseno re bone ke di feng re qala kae ra kae the reason today was just to engage re thole sense ya gore go etsahalang people at times we get frustrated because of lack of information so today we started ka information and then we will check out the practical part the information that you shared with us today and moving forward re khutle happy because nna ke rata motho a khutle a re ke ne kella o kene ntate Kente ke a lebo or ke a lebo for intervention alona or since o rutile ntho itseng re a lebo re ithutile ntho itseng and then ho etsahaletse ka nnete le botshepe re sa di eketse ma rona re sa di hafole mme wa rona ke le bula holo ke le
tsena kwa holo batho ba KHD I think yes it's not the last time we are together le rona mentse re tsamaya teng re KHD e ba le rona le tle bona tsena di etsang to assist the communities tsa rona ke le bula holo go motsotsona
ke le bula holo mo buila pe mono eno ene le ena majoro wa ka kwano ka Sedibeng leng mmele rato maloka e le re tsatsing la ka jeno ne re sa tlote ba hakalo it was just to break the ice and to make sure that re utlwe role ya hae re di understand so that when we come to those issues tse ile hore mohlomong o di buile tsatsing la ka jeno re tsebe hore eng ke eng le hore how do I hold them accountable. Today we wanted the statement that said the mayor a di buileng tsa role le responsibilities le di functions tsa bona for our communities and the municipals. So now re a thola re tla fana ka poster mo ile hore ke tlo etsa tour mo ile hore ke tla be ke tla to directly see the issues tsa lona le community gore ana mera o tshepahetse kapa mera o le shano na and o hopole nna a ke bicycle me mo mamedi le wena mo buila pe mono eno enele meya netefatsa dinomoro ke tsena mo tlang highlightang ka dintho tse etsang send us snap send a location ya mo o dulang teng le boemo be le shebaneng le bona ha re challenging dintho tsena tse kgonang ho loka hona je as a temporal solution re na le di ground tsa bana tse ile hore di senyehile ka baka la hore ne di sa maintain re na le ditsela tse senyehileng tse ile hore mohlomong greater ha e ka feta dikoloi for now di tla kgona ho tsamaya re tlo kena dipetlele mo batho ba ntse ba lla hore ba dula di 7 days ba sa admitwe re tlo kena ho basebetsi wa bona he basebetsi ba mmuso last ke la ka batla ke founela ambulance mo ke bona batho ba robetse ke nana ba hlokaitse ke nana ba thotse accident ba robetse platseng gantile ba kgathetse ke basebetsi ba mmuso jwale e tlo fela tabe ya basebetsi ba mmuso ba ne ba roba le strateng plan party lunch out ke lunch ha o bata ha o le mosebetsing ha o robalo tabena ya basebetsi ba sebetsang diholong mane o bone dihlathi di le teng metjhini le teng o sa sebetswe re atla le ho tsona tseo jwale ke le Kent wa Sethabela ke re on tshware dinomoro tsena tse latelang mme he on sendele bopaki ka WhatsApp on sendele le location so that ha ke tlo etsa tho ena le mayor I'm sure ba tla ba le 2 le mayor Sipho ka mbatla ke ena wa mfuleni ke yone le isang batho la o qetela le premier le ya bohlokwa ke a mbatla a tlo ba teng as part ya tour and then le ka mona ka Sedibeng le ka mane ka ntate Tech 0 ka Mid Valley le teng ke tlo fika hore re ke re tlo bona hore why Sicelo ke dithapo di batla ho choka na go batla pasekeng e re rapelleng service delivery Jesu a tswa notha the officially di etswa ska Jesu renke A1 e ke shwele di betsena tsa di masipala tse gore A1 fela re monke re mthagise jwalo ka ba Juda a shwele di be mono ho be le phetho maphelong a batho ba batsho re ke atela pele jwale he ke tloa ka service delivering ke kena dipolotiking yes kancane re ke etse tjena ke ipeya hantle baetapele se ba le teng ka kwano a o sheme setjhaba sa modimo ba re se re tlwaetse ho thetsuwa hle Kent e bang le tshepo le lona setjhaba o ile a o lahlele thao le tjena SACP le yona e teng mona ka utlwa dikana na ke na sefuwa batswadi ba nsebetsi tsatsing la kajeno ke ka ho re le mona moroborobo a kula le ena ka re thank you Jesu o ntswela kae jwale SACP wena mmamedi lapeng man ke engwe ya di alliance tse kgolo hampe ba se ka buella batho ba le re batla utlwa hore 2026 king enja moetapele wa dumela moetapele le kae bana beso ao ntate a o kametsweng ke bomme ai ho tlo loka mo ho tlo loka a bona ke bona bomme ba le bangata o le iwano le ntate ke bana le tshepo eo hobane mme a iwano kgona ho kenya ntate line ha ena le mme ka ha jwale re le bua ntate wa ka ke nke monyetla moetapele wa ka ko amohela kwano KSD Media ke mo re leng teng tsatsing la ka jeno he ke a tseba no tshwantse ngwane so re qale ka hore ba tshelela fela he le sentse ke tshwarella me ankere o tlile smile ke ga me ya ntse ntlo qela ntho tseo mo re tlo di bua mona setjhaba se re shebi a grato se a ba sa kena me ya he a di ala jwale nna ntate wa ka ko fa go putla ihenga o ihenge mane mo so sa kgone o kwalletse le matso be ke fitla ke re ene re ya ka rupi re aka be ke thila ka wena jwale tsatsi la ka jeno ke sona seno se le hore ne re se tletse ba re SACP ke ANC mos what a good question ke le ratela tsona tsena ba mamedi le ba buila pe mono moetapele wa
Kent
a re ko amohela ngwana
ke a le bua ntate ke dumedise ba mamedi ba KHD radio
yes tsebe mona ke media hona le ba o mametseng online hona le ba o shebelletseng di bona di tsena ba shebile man
se ba mpontshitse bomme bana
ai le nna le mpone mo
bomme bana se ba
utla sa commenta yana go Kento o le ke hore wa tseba moetapele wa ka ke nkile effort ka kang hore ke kute ntate Sipho a le busy a nchika man ene ka kuta mara ha so re ke motle
Sipho maybe majoro chola remote ya ke tsebe
I ntshepisa le we bege
oh I be straight
I be hantle ke feel special fela he ngwana mme re nke metla re dumedise mmamedi re kena o tsona moetapele o ko fe mmamedi go re bua le mang karolo ya hae ke eng o tswa go kae
mona o bua le Thembinkosi Pulu ke mongodi wa mokgatlo ona wa makomanisi le batweng la Sethabela. Before nka ba mongodi wa mokgatlo o moholo wa makomanisi ke ile ka nka karolo e kgolo ke le moetapele wa the Young Communist League ona le batweng la Sethabela. Ka tlo etela pele yona the Young Communist League ka ra province ya Gauteng as the deputy chairperson ya teng.
okay moetapele wa ka ke rata o etoba nna
ya tabe
SACP moetapele wa ka ke utlwile menyenyetsi ho thwa e ka re ya tswa ANC bo alliance bo
o utlwile menyenyetsi
ee
okay a re ka le ka tsela kena SACP e bile le alliance SACP le ANC a sentho e wana re hlalosa and le ditabatabello tsa SACP le ANC di fapane empa SACP e la thekgoa ka 1921 mosebetsi wa SACP kapa ere ke bua ka tsela ya hore SACP it's a class organization ke tla hlalosa re bua jwalo re bua ka class re bua ka eng ane e thekgoa mosebetsi wa SACP e ne le hore o lwantshana le ntho e re bitsang ka hore ke kgatello kapa exploitation of a particular class by the other class. So mona lefatsheng re na le di-class tse pedi tse existang. Currently class 18 which is the ruling class ke ene re bitsang ka hore ke the capitalist class. And then now SACP is to ensure ho bana le a free society from exploitation which it's about the steps kapa yeah the first step hore re kgone ho achieve a classless society. Ha re bua ka a classless society is when re fitla stage sa communism. Re kala ka stage sa socialism. Socialism is more of type of a mixed economy because in the element tsa yona capitalism but guarding against exploitation. So SACP because at a time ila qalwa ki the white workers. You will remember the South African history at a time. Cheap labor, even now it still exists.
I think
yeah. And the now it exists Mara at a time the cheap labor they were the cheap laborers at a time and then the white companies would opt to employ Batubabatu against the white workers because a cheap labor were regarded as cheap labor in Batubabatu. That is why the then government had the hostel in because those hostels were meant for cheap laborers. So currently the cheap labor is still existing because now both white and black in South Africa they are equal. Now they resort to employ foreign nationals, whether legally or illegally. So they are using foreign nationals as cheap laborers. And in most cases, the cheap laborers utlabatola the company mostly. Zamahua utlabatola the company Zabatubabatu because only the companies are not Batubabatu. Utlabatola the company in Zama China. Utlabatola the company in Zamagula. And I hope we are not discriminating, but I think this is so to say, or an Indian person is regarded as Ligula. So ke se
I
ke
never get a disclaimer and that like it's
ke se ka tlomatiswa o sa le hore ke sebedisitse mantswe a seng hantle kgahlano le morabe o itseng. Yeah, so ne se ke tjho fela ke hlalose. So that was the main purpose ya o thewa SACP. But then how did we become an alliance le ANC? By that time ANC was fighting for the liberation of Motho a Motsho. They were saying black, in particular Africans in general. And then SACP identified ANC on the basis of it's a liberation movement. Or let us join hands because it's a liberation movement. But it is not an organization SACP.
okay.
It's a liberation movement that was fighting for freedom. And as to what happens, whether freedom or EU under capitalism, freedom or EU under socialism, it's none of their business. In fact, that is why by pizza a broad church, ANC. So ANC, there's a huge difference between the two organizations. So it's not the same. Now we got into alliance with the ANC based on historical struggle. And the members of the SACP played a very pivotal role. Amongst them, Tate Joslov, who was very key. Actually, he is the one who even proposed the formation within the ANC. Or if the totally so, because once Ulwana, who assess our into so I say if it Ibata respond so. Mara if it so Ibata respond so. Now you cannot respond to violence or put that was the reason of the formation of and amongst them you can count a lot of them. Tate Moses Kotana was amongst them. Dora Tamana, Ruth First, Krizani, we have a lot who have played a very serious role. Bore Alexandra, we have a lot of them. Bo Tabo Mfutsanyana. So that's what then binded the ANC and the SACP into alliance. Mara, both of them remain political parties.
Okay.
Independent political parties. Or this is the interest. But the main reason why then why we identified the liberation movement was to shape what we call the ideological direction the liberation movement, because you cannot have a liberation movement it's a maska amupa so there had to be a shape in ideological understanding this particular liberation, so that what informs this tukulu. So haribuaka ideology ribuaka the system, and the system is informed by the classes that I've spoken about. Or the ideological belief of the capitalist is this one, and then the ideological belief of the working class, which is SACP subscribing to, is this one. So it was to influence the liberation movement to be more towards the left. Aribuaka the left, Aribuaka the working class. So that is why ANC at some point it was identifying itself as a disciplined force of the left. Alright? So being identified as a disciplined force, it identified itself as a disciplined force of the left. It simply says it is biased towards the working class struggle. So in the working class, Aribuaka the working class, people might think Ribuaka Batu Basibita. Working class, Ribua, it has got different classes in it, but the working class, in most cases, I will just make an example of South Africa, because the majority of the South Africans are black and they do not own any means of production. So the capitalist class, it's those who owns the means of production. Aribuaka the means of production, Ribuaka the multinational companies still in thing. Involve a number of multinational companies. One being ArcelorMittal, Nempec, Renali, MTech, I think around Ferranaghenli, the African Cable. So those are the multinational companies. The aim of the multinational of this particular class is to produce production in order for them to sell it in exchange for profit. So it's different from the working class. The working class, everybody, in fact, the ownership is more different because it is more about those who are, I don't want to say unemployed. They use each according to his ability and each according to his needs. So that's the difference between the two classes. Or if you work in a socialist state, one, it has to be informed by discipline because there has to be an element of patriotism in it. You're not doing it for yourself to amass all the wealth for yourself. You have to share. People must share. That's the main that informs the working class ideology, but also humanity. We'll talk maybe about the elements of inhumanity as we continue the conversation. So that is where we are, and that's what informs the alliance with the ANC. Now, as time goes on, then the ANC gets elected to lead the state and all the stuff. The expectation of the party is for the ANC to implement policies that are biased to what they identified themselves with, which is the disciplined force of the left, right? Now we started to have differences with the ANC immediately after, I think, Thabo Mbeki became the president. One of the documents immediately after ANC was elected, they introduced a document or a program, rather, that was called a Reconstruction Development Program called RDP. RDP is not a house. People, they always identify RDP with the houses. Houses were part of the program to say, through this RDP, which is the program, this is what we are going to do. And amongst the things that we are going to do is to build shelter for the people. And that document was in line with the Freedom Charter, which was adopted in 1955. Now, 1996, Thabo Mbeki becomes the president of the ANC. He introduces something new. And I remember in one of the State of the Nation address, I think it was after his speech, he spoke about, there was a speech that he delivered in Parliament, I'm an African. A year later, he delivered a speech about globalization. And people, when he was speaking about globalization simply says, you must invite or you must mobilize a foreign direct investment, but it's a FDIs. In fact, Ntatili Sufi, in his provincial address, he reported to this matter to say, as Gauteng, they managed to secure about 15 of the FDIs, foreign direct investors, into Gauteng. How work at the foreign direct investors? It means you go outside, you bring people. It's all about market. Whether the market, if there's a company that wishes to come and invest in South Africa, the company must assess the market demands in South Africa vis-a-vis the interest of the company. If the company is convinced or the market environment in South Africa is conducive for us to can make profit and to can do whatever that we want, then we can come and invest in South Africa. But this goes with a condition, because one of the conditions is that any program globalization is spearheaded by the World Bank, all these international institutions. Now, the World Bank says, if you want to implement or you want foreign direct investors, you need to assure the investors. And one of the assurity that you need to give to the investors, you must assure them market there won't be any interference government into the market. So government must play less role in terms of the development, and a number of room must be given to the private sector. And once you say that, it simply means government must start to cut some of the services that is providing to the people, and that has to be the role of the private sector. if I were to just give an example between the Obamacare in the health sector, of which it's a very simple example that we can give around the globalization and the free market foundation. So they had to adopt the free market foundation as a way yabona ya economic development strategy. Now, when Trump became the president now, he did awake Obamacare because unafila the state is playing more role to provide health services to the people. Now he was saying America is becoming more of a welfare state through the Obamacare. That's what the Free Market Foundation says. It's all about privatization. That is why you had the SOEs, some of the SOEs were privatized, like Transnet. Transnet now is no longer a company that is purely owned by government. It's a state-owned enterprise, but it has got an element of a private ownership into it. And then you have a number of the SOEs, a number of companies that were privatized under this program. And then Thabo Mbeki, he did that through the introduction of growth, empowerment, economic document that he introduced, I think, around 1996. And that is where then the gist of the matter started. Because the party said no to privatization. Because looking at our background and the condition of South Africa, you cannot privatize health services while you have people who are highly unemployed in South Africa. It means people will not be able to access healthcare the way. So there has to be a role that is being played by government. And privatization came, in fact, there were a number of government institutions that were identified to be privatized. So that's what became the serious contradiction between the party and the ANC. Because of the economic policies that President Mbeki was introducing at the time, because more was privatization. You grow the economy first and you create jobs after. Now, it's not a problem to grow the economy, but how do you grow the economy when the population is unemployed? It's impossible, because the country relies on the revenue that is collected by SARS. And if the country relies on the revenue that is collected by SARS, it simply means you've got to make environment to be conducive for the state to create jobs for the people to work, so that SARS can be able to collect tax. Mara, if SARS cannot be able to collect tax, it means the revenue, the country, it will shrink. And you will start to have issues the capacity of the country, whether they can be able to pay back whatsoever the tax.
They start depending on the debt.
Exactly. And now, having said that, now you have a situation now where they say growth first and jobs after, which is a bit of a contradiction. You know, China is the only country with the biggest population in the world. And the only way how China has managed to grow its economy, and in fact, one of the contradictions between China and America now is because China is overtaking America now in terms of being on the #1 spot in terms of the economic stability. It's because China focused on ensuring that this biggest population, which is billions and billions of people who are staying in China, for us to can beat underdevelopment, let us create jobs for these people, let them work. Because if they are unemployed, we're not going to be able to collect. And that's how the Chinese economy grew. So it's as simple as that. Now, there are those particular contradictions that we must rely on a private sector. The interest of the private sector is not to create jobs. They create jobs because they need workers for production purposes. But the interest of the private sector is to make profit. So if you come to the private sector, you tell them about, hey, we cannot go to ShopRite now as Kent and say, ShopRite, go small farm. They are not working. Can you please make a plan or a basibit? No, they will just reject, just leave their CVs. We'll call them when there's a space.
They will tell you about the procedure.
They will tell you about the procedure because their interest is really not to create jobs.
To make money.
Is to make money.
So I want to know, my leader, I understand Kimamete Hanke, and now you have outlined the background of SACP and the reasons maybe why Lady Atacha from ANC. I want you to confirm to me to say, is SACP detaching itself from the ANC at the local level or nationally?
We are contesting elections.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
We are contesting elections, and there are a number of reasons why we are contesting elections.
Okay, so we do confirm or like me.
Like like that.
How sana hore le bana ba ko beiwa?
Aresa contester under ANC regularly SACP. I wanna go boy one SACP is SACP contesting elections as SACP.
The decision, as you have explained to us, okay, some of the reasons are so deep that they didn't start now. Some of the things they and then ANC I prioritize a mandate to this local level as you are contesting. What actually inspired that League ML?
Let us come to the local level.
Yes.
And just zoom into local level. Government stability is very important. Institutional stability is very important. And the institutional stability starts with leadership. And then it goes into financial management of the institution. At local level, ANC has never been stable, for an example, in Inflin. If I were to give you the background, there was a time when Tate Peter Skosana was the mayor in Sidibeng, Tate Tabane was the mayor in Inflin. Tate Tabane didn't finish the term because of instability within. And then Tate Peter Skosana was then seconded to finish the term, and Tate Tabane going free. So it's not something that is starting now. And one of the things that create instability is factions within the ANC. At some point, I think there was Bekreta, there was Tatem Shudulu, there were a lot of mayors who have been chopped and changing in Fulani. Tate Mwerane, Tate Jacob, now it's Sipo, and there's a discussion whether for him to resign or he has resigned or whatsoever the issue. But there is that particular discussion, so I don't think maybe the ANC will confirm if Sipo has resigned or not. So that also affects the stability of the institution. And you cannot expect government institutions to be successful if there's instability politically. Because political instability affects administration. And once it affects administration, it will then affect the finances at the municipality. You have just yet now, one of the things that we've been raising with the ANC, nationally and otherwise, is the issue of tenderization of the state. I remember when Puti was the national secretary of the YCL, he once made a comment about Limpopo at a time. Malema was the leader in Limpopo at the time, and there were a lot of tenders that were dished out, and it was alleged that Malema has an influence on certain tenders in Limpopo. I remember Putin would say the situation in Limpopo has came into a point where even a 1-year-old child, so he just made this by saying in Limpopo wana uri mama tender. So this has been a problem that we've been raising, because that's what is corrupting the state, the tender system. Because once you have a tenderized state, you have a situation now where everybody captures the state. So the party raised this matter of the state capture. In fact, when Tulima Donzela released the report, she didn't even went away from what the party said. The party said there has to be an investigation on the state capture, because the state is captured. And Tuli released the report on the state capture because she saw it fit for it. Indeed, the state is captured. When you look at the Madanga Commission, you see a serious capture of the state. And you might say it has been captured by criminals, but these criminals have been created to be business people through tender system. You might have these criminals who they know nothing about business, some of them, but because the system allows them to be provided with a tender, and they used that opportunity. The BEE, but there's nothing wrong with the BEE if it is implemented correctly. But I'm simply saying tender, it has got nothing to do with the BEE. It's a capture of the state. Look, when you are having a tender, Kent, with the institution, you are not different from the worker of the institution. You are in the payroll of the state, where now you are being paid more than what you are paying to the workers. Yeah, so that is the situation. Yeah, BEE is
the reason
because
BEE, because that's one of the requirements, the most important requirements for you to occupy or to get some tenders into the government. They'll tell you that we want to BEE certificate
compliance
as a compliance.
BEE compliance. Yes. So it's one of those things. When I can't. It maybe when it was introduced for a good intention to redistribute wealth. But now the way it is, it's no longer distributing wealth. It is producing criminals who are capturing the state. And that's the situation that we're having currently. And that's the situation we say it can be. You might have heard in the news that there were cars that were bought somewhere in the institution, some were delivered, some were not delivered. Yeah, in fact, I even heard the executive mayor of Inflin was talking about this matter in one of the radio stations. And he was saying they did some sort of forensic what. And then the report is still to be publicized and all the stuff. So that's the manipulation of the system, and no one is taken to task for doing that. And these are some of the problems that we have seen, because if something is wrong is happening, there has to be a consequence management. You know, there was an accusation against Blade. I want to say this because Blade is the national chairperson of the party and he's the minister in the government. When he was in higher education, there was a serious accusation about him, whether he redirected funds of a particular institution, whether was it NFSAS or something, or CITAS or something. The party called him. The party said, take us into confidence. What is being raised in the newspaper, have you done it? And if you have not done it, show us evidence that you didn't do it. Because we don't tolerate such things. Even myself, if I can be accused of something, I must just relinquish the position and leave the party, because the integrity of the organization is more important than my integrity. So my actions must never dent the integrity of the organization. And these are some of the things that might have been allowed to happen at some point, where people do wrong things in the name of a particular organization and they go away with it. So the integrity of the organization is very much important. That is why in the party, the SACP, we in fact, most of the people who are members of the ANC, they do not wish to join the party. And they will tell you, I go to your party. It's not because they do not identify themselves with the SACP, but because of the level of discipline. We call it iron discipline. We just deal with ill discipline now, and then we don't have. If I have committed something wrong, what to investigate? If there's evidence that I did something wrong, and you still further subjected to investigation, what are you investigating? If something is wrong I've done, and there's evidence that I've done something wrong, an action must be taken against me by the organization, and that's what the SACP does. So it's one of those things. That is why I'm saying we are too different from the ANC as the party. Because to us, integrity of the organization is more important more than any other thing. And service to people, it's what that is what identifies the party. That is why I was talking about humanity. Because if you don't love the people that you lead, definitely you will never deliver, or you never do good to them, because you are just there for a particular purpose. You must love them first before you can just try to say you are a leader of the people, in order for you to identify yourself with the people that you lead. So there are people who just mushroom in. One of the things that I always tell people, I don't want to be called leadership, Kent. Because once you call me leadership, it's like you are just putting me somewhere in a particular seat that I'm part of the community. I'm with the people. In fact, there's nothing that differentiates me
from being
from
ordinary
anyone.
person.
It's a responsibility that has been given to me. So that responsibility is not equal to a status. So to call a person, hey, leadership, it's like you are giving me a status
that you don't deserve.
That I don't think I deserve it. Because I'm actually part of the community. Whatever that affects you, it might affect me.
Or they must call you the responsible one.
Just by my name. If you don't have anything. Look, one of the reasons why people they find it difficult to relate with people is because when you see, I'm not a king. In the kingdom, when you see a king, you must kneel down and all. No, I'm not a king. And there can't be such a relationship between ourselves with the people. And then when people see you, they see another person. Yes, that is why at some point, one of the reasons why when I don't subscribe to this thing of being called leadership. You must subject yourself to criticism. If you can't be criticized by anyone because you know everything, you are going nowhere. You must be able to be criticized, and even an ordinary person must be able to criticize you. So you don't have to be criticized by somebody occupying a particular position in order for you to listen to that person. Even an ordinary person must be able to criticize you. Even the person that you think, one of the things we always classify and just judge people by the look or by the way we see them. And who's this? I cannot listen. But people must have a relationship with you, and they must be open and they must be free around you. And they must be able to criticize you as a person, because you are not perfect, you are a human being. And the fact that you are given a responsibility now, you are being called leadership, it then tells you now you are a perfectionist. And people, they do not expect any mistakes from you. So people must be able to criticize you.
So now, my leader, when we come back, when we localize this whole thing, can you give me the current status of SACP within the council, as you are the alliance of the ANC? Currently, are you still joined in the council, or says Limazechen?
We've never been part of the council.
Okay.
Yeah, we've never been part of the council. In fact, I always clarify this question because people, they always think that we are part of the council because we're in alliance with the ANC. we are in alliance with the ANC, but the process says there is no one who will come from the SACP and be seconded to any or deployed as an SACP member. Saying Kent, yes, KSD, I am bringing Sipho as an SACP member to be a presenter here. There's no such. All those members of the party who are deployed in council are deployed because they are members of the ANC. And they had to go through the process of the ANC. Nominated by branches of the ANC. We don't even form part of the nomination process of the branches of the ANC. We've never. Purely branches of the ANC will nominate people who goes to council. If people or maybe branches preferred you, they will nominate you. But there has never been a nomination that says this nomination is from COSAT. We don't have that process. This nomination is from the SACP. Therefore, let us accommodate this nomination. In fact, there's not even a quota system where maybe you would say, of 45 seats, let us give 10 to the SACP and 10 to them. There's no such a thing. So, in fact, I had to respond to this question after the ANC took a decision to remove or to request the mayor of Mfuleni to resign and the speaker of Citibank to resign. Both of them are our members of the party. And some people were expecting that as the party we must release statement to say no, these are paid. And we said we have never deployed anyone. As the party, we don't have members of the party who are deployed as members of the party to any council. They are deployed on the basis that they are members of the ANC. They were nominated by branches of the ANC. So ANC can do whatever they want. In fact, ANC from time to time, they do meet with their councillors. When they are convening these meetings with the councillors, they do not even call us to form part of these meetings. It's ANC and their councillors. So there's no party representation in council, it's ANC representation.
Is this
so the only party will be represented in council after 2026 if people voted for the party.
So is this only the challenge that it's happening within the region of Citibank, or in other regions you also have a similar problem?
It cut across. It's not a problem. We respected that as a process. When you read the guidelines, nomination guidelines of the ANC, they are very clear. It's not a Citibank region issue. It's an ANC decision. ANC said in their ANC they adopted the guidelines toward, even now I think toward this process, their local government elections, they will or they might release their guidelines as to how to go about nominating the people who must represent the ANC and so forth. So it's the guidelines of the ANC that says so. So in the guidelines, remember in the alliance, it's SACP, COSATU, SANCO. There's no representation that comes from all the three organizations that goes there. It's purely ANC process. So you are nominated, good luck. You are not nominated, hard luck. So it's the guidelines. It's an ANC process, a pure ANC process. It's not a Citibank issue. It's not an issue of our relations with the ANC in the region or whatsoever. It's an issue that I cut across, even in Parliament, by the way. For you to be in Parliament, you must be nominated by the branches of the ANC, whether you are a member of the party, member of COSATU, and so forth and forth. So it has to be a nomination from branches of the. If branches of the ANC are not happy with you, then they are not going to nominate you. Then hard luck.
So I want to know, is SACP, since it was established and we got into democracy, and 30 years after, you have this alliance with the ANC, meaning SACP was also part of the problem that the community is currently facing of poor services, everything that is happening within the country as we speak.
Remember at the time, remember what I told you about some of the systematic problems and that we raised. And it was not just a matter of raising them. I remember at some point, I think at a time, the leadership that forced tirelessly against privatization. SACP at the time was led by Dr. Charles Kakula, and then COSATU at the other side. I think it was led by Mbazi Mashilo. So these are the things that we've been raising, and these are the things that we've been fighting. Remember, you don't see a problem and then you keep quiet. You are raising these matters. We had a lot of money. Let me just come home. We had a lot, not just on the matches. We have been engaging a lot around the issues of maladministration in in fact, it's just that, okay, maybe I will send it to Sipo, just to give you the recent one. Now you can see they are fixing the railway, what is it? The PRASA is fixing. Yes. For PRASA to fix that is us as the party in the district who wrote to PRASA nationally and the Department of Transport, raising the matters around that particular collapse of the rail lines or Ferreneging. In fact, I think there was also an article that was read by one of the newspapers. I just can't remember the newspaper. And it was just last year. I was called on a daily basis because there was an article that was then taken into some of the newspapers around that matter. And at some point, PRASA classified me as a whistleblower regarding that particular issue. So these are the things that we've been attending to. So to be in alliance, you don't sit down and just keep quiet when you see the wrong things, but you raise them internally. You raise them internally, and after you have raised them internally, then you can go. I remember at some point we had a joint march together with COSATU to inflame against, it was a service delivery march to inflame. We had a march for ArcelorMittal against the retrenchment. There was a case called Hitlerberg. Yeah, what do they call this company? I think the Bologna. Yeah, go Hitlerberg. There was a serious problem in that particular area, and we had to go there to intervene. In fact, for them to resolve that matter, it was after we have applied for a visit to that company, and we had a meeting with that company to resolve these matters. Currently, we are having a problem. British Tobacco is closing in Hitlerberg, meaning that a number of people will be laid down, so there will be people who might be unemployed anytime soon. And our structure in Hitlerberg has been engaging with that particular company to get into the reasons why. Because one of the reasons they are saying is that they are closing down because of illicit cigarette, which has affected their market. But then they say they are going to be listed in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, so there'll be a distribution of their product while they have closed down. So this could be a matter of closing down, go Hitlerberg and open a factory somewhere. Because if there'll be a distribution, where are you going to make this to produce these particular cigarettes? So that's what we've been looking at as the party, to say this could be a business decision. It's not, yes, they are affected by the illicit cigarette that is being sold everywhere in the country. It's fine, we understand that, but it simply says there's still a demand. The fact that they will still be distributing,
they're not coming with a solution to prevent the illicit cigarette, so that they won't affect this legit
cigarette. So there's still demand of their cigarette. So they are closing down British Tobacco. So it's one of the things that we're engaged into now as the party with that particular company. And what brings these illicit cigarettes and where are they being made? I know that just recently there was a media newspaper talking about one truck that was arrested in Sethabela transporting an illicit cigarette to Free State. So this is a well-coordinated, it's an organized crime. It's a well-coordinated organized crime to transport this cigarette from wherever to come into the country. So this is where you need to build capacity of the state. So that is why we talked about the issue of, yes, you will tenderize where you need to when there's a necessity. But what is more important, build capacity of the state. The only solution to service delivery can't build capacity of the state. Once you build capacity of the state, simply says you employ people with skills to do the work that have been employed for. And if it means that because of the changes in the corporate world, you need to reskill people so that they are able to respond to the demands of the corporate world. But you cannot then say if maybe you want to buy a furniture, definitely the municipality is not selling furnitures. If you want to buy a furniture, maybe that you can
that's
go.
corporate, that's another department.
That's another,
that can generate to the local
exactly
economy.
But it's not something that you can say you can produce it internally. But what is supposed to be done internally, like your pothole patching, your cleaning of the stormwater,
basic maintenance.
I was in zone 17. The road are collapsing because of stormwater that is not properly maintained. Just in zone 17. Grass cutting is something that can be done internally. So why then would you take it into a tender? Those simple things. Any other thing, like for example the buying of computers, it's something that you can go for a tender maybe, because you don't have a factory that is producing computers as a municipality. But basic service delivery work must be done internally. Yellow plant, it must be internalized. You cannot hire a yellow plant from a service provider. It has to be something that in fact the municipality must be able to own a yellow plant. When we talk about yellow plant, we talk about your TLBs and the stuff. So you know what is happening now. I said at some point I'm not a tender prophet, but these are some of the things.
They are general, we know that. A point of time to come and provide
can't go and buy a TLB there, I'll give you a tender to dig the graves.
That's how it is.
So why can't you internalize the digging of
and
the
then that's where the criminal element comes in, whereby you have to secure the tenders for this guy, and they now need to start bullying new people who are coming, or the ones who are challenging them. So my question here, my leader, I want us to just be on this specific aspect of you guys contesting. I understand that we have followed all the necessary, actually have made necessary measures to make sure that you are able to know what's happening within our community, what's happening, what's affecting the political intervention to the municipal. I want to know, as you are contesting with so many parties already that are on the pictures, do you think is there any party that maybe you can eventually form an alliance with? Who's going to stand? Have you already nominated, since well you said it is for the first time indeed you are now becoming part of the council? Those processes, have you guys worked on them, or is it something that you are planning to do, or is it something that you have decided and that you are doing?
In fact, any party that we share a common interest of where do you want to take the remember, governing simply means you must determine where the society must go into. Any party that we share a common interest around that is the party that we engage with. And any party that we don't share any common interest, we are not going to go to that. In fact, as you are raising that, the SSC will be convening a conference of the left.
Okay.
It was supposed to be convened on the 28th of February, but it has been delayed. But very soon it's going to be sitting that conference of the left.
Okay.
One of the reasons why that conference of the left is to identify common interest among the parties that identified themselves as the parties of the left. Okay. That is why there was an engagement at a national level between the SACP and the EFF. Okay. That engagement was purely to discuss what is the interest of the EFF into the Conference of the Left, and what is it that the ACCP seeks to achieve about this particular conference. If then the EFF attends the Conference of the Left, what is their role in that particular conference? Definitely the ANC, because it has identified itself as a disciplined force of the left, is invited to that particular conference. If they come, they come. If they don't, but they are invited. So it's one of the things. In fact, and one of the things, in fact, on the 24th to is it that the 30th of April, will be in Free State. The party has launched its program. We call it a Red Caravan. You know, one of the things that we believe into as the party is that you must have people who are self-reliant. You know, one of the things that we have in the society is that people are not self-reliant. That is why you'll have people coming somewhere just yesterday and they open spaza shops in our own shops, because we just depend on everything that comes from outside. People must be able to be self-reliant, and they must be able to explore their own capacity and their own ability to can do things for themselves. So that's what the Red Caravan seeks to achieve. So it was launched last year for Northwest Mutlabi Village, and now it has been launched. In fact, I think Free State is the 7th province that we're going to now. Recently we're in KZN. Because one of the things when I can't, a person can come here and just build a charity and just go away with it. And no one will even try to say, no, I saw the car or this and that. If people are self-reliant and activated to be self-reliant, any wrong or suspected movement, they'll be able to identify it. And if people are self-reliant, you don't need people to come somewhere and run your own spaza shops and buy from them and thinking that they are going to create jobs for you. So people, they just wait for someone to come from somewhere to create jobs. In fact, one of the things that we were talking about recently is that if you think that Trump will come from America and develop South Africa, that will never happen. Trump will come from America and just take the money that is in South Africa to develop America, and that's it. He will just come and take everything that belongs to South Africa, take it to develop America. So we've got to be self-reliant, not to depend on anyone. But if then somebody from outside comes, that person must come and partner and collaborate with us on what we seek to achieve, on what we seek to do as the country. So we're having a situation where we just rely on everything. Like for an example, you know, the war that is between Iran and Israel and America. It's just a simple thing. Iran is saying we are fighting for our own sovereignty. We don't need anyone from outside to come and determine how to run our own country. We are capable of running our own country. So that's what creates the main conflict there. So that's what we need in South Africa. We need a municipality of Emfuleni, Sidibeng, Lesedi, Midval, where people will be able to say, I can tell you now, if people are self-reliant when I can't, there are a lot of skills in the communities that are not being explored. There's a lady, Mona, go Palm Springs. At some point, she wants to approach us to say, guys, I've got a skill of doing this and that and that. But my problem is one. I'm afraid that I'm going to die with this particular skill without transferring it to the other generation. And once I die with it, it means that will be the death of this particular thing that I'm doing. Because we are so depending on everybody that comes from outside. And one of the things that we were talking about recently, if people go to school, you come from the university, how do you also use the education that you received to nurture your talent? Because at some point it should not be the education that you receive that you get, then you say, no, the education that I got, I must then be able to rely only on the salary. You can get the salary from the job market that you went into, that gave you a job. But how do you then say, because I'm using this education to nurture the talent, because everybody's got a talent, I'm using this education to nurture my talent, how do then I go for an extra income through the talent that you have and using the education that you acquired? So those are some of the things when we talk about people who are self-reliant, not people. So you will never grow the economy as long as you are expecting people to come from outside and come into your country, and then you think that are going to, for example, dispenser shops. How much are we losing just on tax revenue? Just on tax revenue, how much are we losing?
My leader, so I want to know, SACP, since it's under local, the decision that the SACP took, how will it affect the current status of the local municipal, and maybe in 1 or 2 minutes, just to give the impact of SACP de-attaching and standing for itself?
Okay, how will it affect the status of the
current status?
Current status.
Let's say from the actual important role it played for the ANC to gain some seat, to gain the power, and once that power is lost, how will it affect the current situation? Because you have emphasized that for sure that the functions within the organizations cause the mismanagement of the administration and the funds and the services as well. So now you, as you were an alliance with this party, and at least it was having power, and you being independent and de-attaching yourself from it, how will it affect or impact the current status in CDB specifically?
No, look, I think what you are raising, what you are asking is very, look, it's not about a particular political party to be in power. I think we need to clarify that.
Okay.
But it has to be what we are agreeing on in terms of the program that we must take forward. So the fact that the SACP is contesting election, it's not an obvious thing that immediately after maybe winning 2 or 3 seats, we are going to take the seats and say, ANC, these are the seats, then let's see how to work. No, there has to be an engagement of what do we want to see. If they agree, then we can then work with any other political party that would be agreeing with us. So it's not an obvious thing.
Okay. Then plans that you have as SACP, do you have any different programs from your side to impact the situation? If you are given a privilege to work with someone who's willing to work with you, do you think some of the programs that you guys have will be implemented, or it might need you to be fully in charge for them to be implemented?
Yeah, look, first thing first is to look into policies. How conduce, or how in fact we need an enabling environment for the people to be able to engage, or to be able to say, how do we partner and collaborate with the municipality on this 1, 2, 3 particular program. That's the first thing. But secondly is the financial stability of the institution and service delivery, discipline among the workforce that you have. Because if you have a workforce that is ill-disciplined, you are not going to do anything. So you must have an enabling environment for the workforce that we have to can be able to do the work happily and freely. Secondly, how do you deal with the influential factors, especially in the workforce? It is not a secret that alcohol plays a very bad role in our society. I'm laughing at this because I can see the look somewhere. It plays a very bad influence in our society. And why I'm saying that, people are not afraid, people do not respect or do not take their work seriously because of alcohol. It is normal in South Africa that on Monday it's not only happening in government, even in the private sector.
Yes.
A person will sit here, go Orange Farm on a Sunday, work on a Monday, no, he can up see Usan, he can get 2 beers. and the 2 years leads to 5. And when this person is supposed to go to work, o tla ba fuwa dirata no ja papa ka mai haholo ha ba o pompa ha e tlo hlaela wa bona. So these are some of the things, because rona re phela ko kaso so we know these things wa bona. So these are some of the things that affect and the delivery of the services, especially in government, because you might have a workforce that is not well behaving. So you need to put systems in place to ensure that the workforce that you have is effective and they deliver according to the expectations.
Do you have any do you have any messages to my SACP Lapemane who gave up on the organization because of maybe they felt or you guys are not doing much to address these issues that are affecting them, that are affecting our community, that are affecting our country? Do you have perhaps any message to them?
Look, you are right. We have a lot of members actually when Kent of the party who might have left the party because of certain disagreements. And to those members, it's very simple. They must just call me on 064 067 9092. 064 067 9092. Let us rebuild the party.
Leadership, you must invite us so that we can come and see your programs, so that we can see the impact that you guys are having within our community, so that we can also give feedback to the listeners and your youth as SACP, as an all party or organization. Is the youth active at SACP? Yeah,
they are. In fact, we are having a very active youth when I can't, which is led by Umbit Kamakwane. He's a district secretary of the Young Communist League.
Okay.
If we had time, I was just going to give you more on this, but let me just leave this moment to the listeners. And maybe you and I, you can just take your time, just look into it. If you can go and just check maybe on your phone or your Google when you have time, just Google Sethabela to Eco Village. Sethabela to Eco Mukhale City, Eco District.
Okay.
And Sethabela will then, when you look into it, listen to or read every material about it, on how the city was started, the housing development in that area. This is the model of the government that we are trying to, because you can't do it alone. Once you have people who are self-reliant, that's why we're talking about people who are self-reliant. Once you have people who are self-reliant, you have activated them. We'll see a number of Sethabela to Eco Village stories. And the other one, which is next to Sethabela is Umnoto Eco Village. Umnoto Eco Village, it's led by a young guy called Leslie Gama. You can just check Leslie Gama. It's one of the things that we talk about when we talk about the programs that we're doing. And we have one that is trying, in fact we have done a lot of work somewhere in Bupilong, and we have one that we are trying to resurrect for Tsepiso. But we'll call you when we do these things. But let me just leave that with if you are curious, just go to Sethabela to Eco Village and Umnoto for empowerment. Then you will see what is it that we're talking about when we talk about a self-reliant society. People who can be able to do things for themselves. In fact, Umnoto, this guy was telling us, guys, I've been knocking in the doors of government. We are ready. This is what we are doing. The only thing that we need from government is these touch-ups. But if they are not coming, we can do it by ourselves. So this is the society that we need. People who are self-reliant, not people who wait for Kent to come or wait for me to come. Once I come to Orange Farm, definitely I don't have the interest of Orange Farm at heart. I will just take what is in Orange Farm and take it to Sharpeville. That's what I will do.
Mo ilape mono KHD ke montsara le teng Kent wa Sethabela me moetapele ke ono haraba etapele a re bona setšhaba re batla setšhaba se tileng se ikemetseng re batla setjhaba se iketsetsang re le SACP mme ha esale re ikemetse re le SACP mme wa hona tje for the first time ra standa at the local elections mme sizakhala otsho jwalo ntate
ziyakhala
yeah
ziyakhala
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 ntate kopa o fane ka dinomoro tsa hao ho momamedi mo boimono ho motho a batlang ho tseba ha batsi ka SACP ho mo dudi ho motjha e le hore o qala ho utlwa mara o interested o batla ho tseba hore a etse jwang a go re fe dinomoro tsa hao hape le di-logging star tsa social media mo batla ho tholang teng
064 067 9092
a re di phete hape
064 067
Formula
064
Formula
067
yes
9092
9092
I was
we qetelletse he fela he ngwana mme ke le boela haholo ho tla ho tlo ruta o bone today good step ke ne ke batla hore o ko rute motjha mane e le hore ha tsebe ka dipolotiki ha tsebe ka SACP le hore a utlwisise karolo e le bapalang dipolotiking tsa hare tsa naha ena ya rona mme he tsatsing la kajeno ne ke re fela o ba hlaele sedi re tla hla re tlo checka di-program re tla tla le ka di-election ke tla be ke matha ka ga ke na hlo ke matha hohle ka nako tsa o campaigna ke tla be ke sheba ha ba tlisa di-scandal ba le sabotage ba ntlisetsa mona re can't
ke ba ba qadi
bona video ya jive o jivisa man ba o kenya le IA ko bona re itsoka so ke dintho tse le hore re tla be re ntse re tla re shebana le tsona le tse ntle ho tse le hore le ntse le di etsa o bile ka di-institution tla ke checke background tsa teng re checke hore ana ho etsuwang le ha nako e le teng re netefatsa in person re ikele re bona na boemo bo jwang metapele wa ka ke lebile haholo for thuto ya hao ke lebile haholo for nako ya hao ebile ke le lakaletsa katleho le mahlonolo jwalo ka le ikemetse ebile re tshepe hore ho ikemela wa lona o tla tlisa phethoho bophelong ba motho